Hey, what's up guys, it's Punchy, and I've finally been able to return to my roots with a super spear build. Spear was the first weapon that really piqued my interest when the game dropped, and it seems like I should have made this build much sooner. Regardless, here's my first experience with Wind alongside one of my favorite new spears. Before we start, thank you guys for the support on my latest video talking about the new upgrades to unique weapons. We're so close to 20,000 subscribers, and this is something I'm working towards. I couldn't have been able to do any of this without your support, so make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see Grimoire long spear builds and something else in the future. Jumping into the stats, I think this is one of my best builds because I can play with aggressive playstyle as I rushdown players that like to run. I'd advise trying out this build if you want to have a similar experience and you're sick of people running away. As a max level 60 Etrean, I have 2 strength, 25 fortitude for some health, 35 agility for the wind-based agility talents, 20 intelligence, 10 willpower, 50 charisma for taunt upgrades, 75 Gale breath, 100 in medium weapons. If you want to make this build a bit better for damage, ditch the willpower and parrying dagger so you can get 40 intelligence with overflowing down. This build has a bell as well as an enchant, and I'm lucky enough for them to work out perfectly. I think this enchant matches my character because I do have some purple going on with the eyes, so I think that's a bonus. For this character, I wanted to spice it up and create a female Etrean, and personally I think that Etrean suits this hairstyle quite a bit. I like some diversity in my build appearances so you guys don't get sick of the same thing. Anyway, the main playstyle of this build is keeping players close to me at all times. You may be wondering, why would you do this with the spear? Isn't the range the best part? To that I say, that's what most players think, so I'll do the opposite. Also, kinda stuck with this enchant. What helps me out greatly is my Archon's War Spear with a Bungee Gum enchant. On M1 attacks, I apply this Bungee Gum core that will pull anything I hit towards me. This makes it nice to spam my abnormal spear critical, forcing players to parry this perfectly. Also, you can fate pretty much anything into a Gale lunge or punch, which freaks out most players. Just a piece of advice for anyone who wants to use this Bungee Gum enchant, it works on mobs too, so depths could be an issue if you don't want to wrangle monsters towards your group. While we're on the topic of keeping people close, I have a couple mantras that assist me greatly. The first win mantra I've got is essential, never skip this in my opinion. Gale lunge can be used at close range or a distance, allowing you to get close to your enemy and stab them. As I stated in my first gun build, this move is very weird, so expect delayed hits while throwing this out. What helps this move out the most are the inhale talents. When you feint a Gale spell, you can store its power for an increased wind mantra, and if you have the talent Tailwind, it will also give you a speed boost. This is the best if you pair this with the talent Maestro's Blade, which buffs your next physical attack with wind after inhaling. I think it works the best on Gale lunge because it comes out very fast. I put an insignia gem on this to allow my next mantra to have a reduced windup. Second mantra I've got is Gale punch. One talent helps me pull people in close before hitting them, which messes up a lot of people who hate moving around. I think this move is very strong as well as the amount of damage it does and its deceptive hitbox. Sometimes I hit people even if the particle effect doesn't even reach them. Let's jump on this so I can spam it more frequently. The range move I've got is Air Force. I've renamed this to Shizuku Nen, which is a character from Hunter x Hunter who has a vacuum Nen ability. It's very literal and I don't know why I called it this, but I guess it is what it is. One modification I slapped on this Air Force to make it a vacuum is a reversal spark. Pretty much I pull people in instead of shooting them away. It's great to use on blocking players who are far away, and insignia gem on this. Next move is kind of a meme. I just had extra space, so why not use Gale trap? You can either place this trap on a player's head or on the ground, allowing for continuous damage and slow. This rarely lands and I advise against using it, but it's very satisfying to land and it will do continuous damage as well as posture damage. The final move I use frequently is Astral Wind or spinning thing. I think this move is super sick and allows for an extra hit if you actually do hit it because it sends them up into the air. I put a bunch of drift shards and rush shards on this, but I'm not sure if it actually does anything. Regardless, this move hits multiple times and procs on my other talent Haunted Gale. If you land 5 hits with any Gale mantra, do an extra hit, and this seems to do the trick on this move all the time. Bloodless gem on this just for extra healing. The last move I sometimes use is Taunt. It gets people all scared because they can't jump and when they're getting pulled in with my Bungee Gum. I would have preferred Glare, but I can't seem to get that. Anyways, that's all the mantras I consistently use on this build, but I recommend playing around with some type of oath on wind so you can get more mantras. Something I realized with Gale is the amount of movement is just crazy. Gale dashes are something you can get from basically doing anything, and they are very effective. A Gale dash looks like a jet of air coming out of the player as they shoot in whatever direction they were moving. You can get these dashes from many things. With air pressure, hit a block and get a dash. You can also get Gale dashes if you dodge any attack, which makes you dodge again, and it's just free movement. But what's crazy about this is if you do a Gale dash, you can gain a damage buff that chips past your enemy's guard. I'm not even gonna mention the other talents I have that stack up speed modifiers on dodge, but just know these are worth picking up. Another nonsense talent that is very strong is the Gale legendary A World Without Song. All wind attacks now apply a suffocation effect that does constant tick damage while making their movement reduced. You'll know when this applies when you hear a sort of buzzing noise with these cool particles. This works on mobs as well. The last thing I've got going on is Vision Shaper. It's not often where I can use the illusion-based mantras, but the talent cheat trick spawns a clone that can harass the player when low. With the pressure of Gale and Spear, it's easy to redeem yourself when damaged a lot. And that's all for my talents. If you want to replicate this build fully, I recommend slowing down the video here. The bell I've got is super great for this build because it's wind up. Usually, wind up is mid to most people because of the knockback, but on M1, I usually keep damage close enough for a well-timed critical or mantra. So, I get massive damage while keeping people close with my enchant. If you have the wind up bell, try going for an adhesive weapon if you want to do damage for free. On to my equipment. I think that this weapon, Archon's War Spear, is a contender for the best spear along the true Seraph and Rifle Spear. This weapon does bleed damage, so it's already one of my favorite weapons in the game, and with this crazy enchant that I've talked about earlier, it's very fun to mess around with. In my offhand, I have a parry dagger for increased parry windows. The rest of my armor is basically just for drip. I got on the Nevaeh War Chief armor because I didn't like the look of the Prophet's Cloak on this build and I wanted something to match my coffee-esque color scheme. I picked up the Tawny Educator coat to make my snake girl look pretty nice. Overall, happy with the look of this build. And that's all there is to this build. Check out some fights that showcase the true power of Gale's spear. Thank you guys for watching. I've got some super fun videos in the works, so make sure to like and subscribe if you want more content similar to this. Have a good one, guys.